Danville, Alan Chills here, Chief of Police for the town, and we're 10-8 and in service, which means we're here to make people's lives better, and we do that by safeguarding the lives, rights, and property of the people we serve. This is a live show, so if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. We're watching both YouTube and Facebook. If it's a question we can get to live during the show, we'll get to it. If not, we will answer after the show in the chat. So if you have any questions or comments, please throw them in there. As always, we want you to download some guides. The Contra Costa County Residents Guide to Wildfire Preparedness and Evacuation and the FEMA All Hazards Guides. Both of those will keep you prepared for those events that we hope rarely happen, but if they do, they can be pretty catastrophic. Also, you want to sign up for the Contra Costa County Community Warning System, and I'm going to talk a quick second about that, but also go visit the PG&E website page. The Sheriff's Community Warning System. I want to make sure that people understand how that works, because we do talk about different notifications, and we have the notification where through Nixle, and that's something that the Danville Police, the San Ramon Police, CHP, I believe, may use it. East Bay Parks, I think, uses it. San Ramon Fire uses it. What you'll see locally here in Danville is if there's a tree down blocking the road, if we pursue someone and we're chasing them and we're in your neighborhood, we'll put something out. If we need your help looking for someone, as we did a few weeks back, we'll put that information out. Community warning system is usually used for massive events, wildfires, earthquakes, chemical issues, radiological issues. And the difference being for Nixle, you have to opt in. So that means you have to actually send a text message, or you have to go to the Nixle website and you have to say, please send me messages for these areas. It's a great tool. With CWS, we encourage you to sign up, because what that allows you to do is it allows you to receive maybe an email. It allows you to receive a text message to your phone. You can register your VoIP, your voice over IP line, if you have a telephone line like that coming into your house. But understand this, there's one thing, well, a couple things. So if there's a disaster, like we talked about the Vacaville fires a while back, because those are some that we help respond to as part of mutual aid. When you looked across the ridgeline, you saw no cell towers. They were all burned up. Cell phones didn't work. We drove for miles and miles and we had no cell coverage. So how do you get information in that emergency? Well, you can use your NOAA radio. You can tune to the AM channel and you can get information that way. So those are ways that you don't necessarily have to sign up, right? It's just that if the disaster happens, we will be broadcasting out via those NOAA weather radio and the AM radio. But what happens if, the cell towers do work and maybe you didn't sign up? We've been listing this, I think, for 4 years on this show. Please sign up for the CWS alerts. But what if you don't sign up and there is a disaster or something that's happening in your area? We can actually still hit your cell phone, right? So what I talked to our CWS coordinator 2 days ago, and what she told me is the way our CWS works is we can drop a pin, we can establish a radius, or we can do we've talked about Zonehaven and Know Your Zone. We can pick a zone within Zonehaven, and we can broadcast out to anyone that's in that area. And so we can hit cell phones that aren't even registered. And so it's a fantastic tool. It's really good. The one thing that none of these systems are, and I want to make sure I'm level setting the expectations, the one thing that Nixle is not, the one thing that CWS is not, they are not automated systems. And I'll point to our fire guys because they actually have one of the best systems around. If you ever look at Pulse Point, that's an app you can download on your phone. And as calls come out, like we had an accident on Front in Diablo and we requested fire. I heard it over our radio that we requested fire. And within a few seconds, I saw it on Pulse Point, which means that as soon as the dispatcher enters it into their dispatch system, it generates an alert that gets sent out to those apps or those people that are running the app. That's an automated system. For police, we can't quite do that because we have a variety of calls and some of them are very sensitive. Like we wouldn't want to automate and have, maybe if it's, and sometimes they're not categorized properly, right? But we certainly wouldn't want to have sexual assault at 123 4th Street, say. We wouldn't want to have domestic violence at 123 4th Street. What if it was miscategorized and people didn't know? They just heard yelling and screaming. And sometimes that'll be categorized as what we call a suspicious circumstance, which they don't, the dispatcher may not know what it is. Maybe it's an open 911 call, so they don't know. And what if that call then turns into a call that we need to make sure that we don't publish to protect the victim's identity? So we can't automate it. So what we have is we have human gatekeepers, people like me that have to know the event is going on, and then we manually push the information out to you. And that's why we have more lag. And I know in today's age of speed and cell phones and instant information, and you can do, 15,000 stock trades an hour on your app, we're just not that fast with information because we have to gatekeep it. We have to protect people's identity. And that's the downside to the systems that we use. It doesn't mean that they're not effective. It doesn't mean that they don't reach people, even those that don't sign up. It just means that there's a human gatekeeper there. All right. If you want to talk more about that or see us, we're actually having a Coffee with the Cops event. Come join us Thursday, September 26th. So that'll be in just over a week. This is going to be at 8 to 9. So let's say you drop the kids off at school, come over and see us at the Starbucks on Rose Garden. That's 730 Camino Ramon in Danville. So that's the one at Camino Ramon in Sycamore. And we'd be happy to say hi and share a cup of coffee with you. All right. On the community crime map, not the numbers, not too much in the way of numbers, but not happy with the crime that we had this week. As always, you can see for yourself. You can go to communitycrimemap.com. You can see the crime happening in your area, and you can also get sexual offender registry information. One of the accidents didn't show, and for some reason, one accident showed where it shouldn't have. But we had 3 total property collisions, 2 of which were drunk drivers who hit cars. The first one was on the 13th, and that was a property damage collision with 2 vehicles, Love Lane and Railroad. And for that one, the driver was arrested for DUI. On the 14th, we had another property damage collision on Plaza Circle. That driver was arrested for DUI. And then we had a 2-vehicle collision while one was parallel parking on Diablo Road and Harts Avenue. And that was not a DUI, thankfully. Here's the thing. When we get these calls, what we'd encourage you to do, if you're in an accident, there is the, clear the road, all those things that you want to do. You have to exchange information. But if at all, if you need any help at all, please just call us out. We don't mind coming out and exchanging information or assisting in that. And it could be that we just help kind of clear the road and facilitate it in injury, fatal, disputed collisions, or upon request. We will take a report, but we don't take reports in every single collision that takes place. But if you need help exchanging, please give us a call. We'd rather get the call early, come out. What that affords us to do as well is it actually affords us the opportunity to evaluate the drivers and make sure that one isn't drunk or some other way impaired and shouldn't be driving. All right, for crime, this is where it doesn't look so great. By numbers, half of a slide looks fantastic. And that's only because we didn't have very many thefts. We only had 2 thefts and a vehicle theft, but we had a robbery, which is a very significant crime in Danville. And we had an aggravated assault, again, a very significant crime in Danville. On the 9th, we had a theft, and this was personal property from within a home, and a lead was identified. And let me explain something real quick. A lot of people think every time property is stolen from within a home that it's a burglary. A lot of times, yes. And if we remember, the definition of a burglary is entering a structure, 3 walls and a roof, entering a structure with the intent to commit a theft or any felony. Sometimes what happens is people have a reason to be in a home. It could be a contractor. It could be someone that's cleaning the house. It could be someone that's helping someone in the home. It could actually be a friend or a family member. So they're in the home for reasonable reasons, and that we can't prove that they formed the intent to steal prior to going in. But once inside the home, they stole property. In this case, that's what it is. It looks like the property was stolen after the person, or the intent was formed after the person entered the house. On the 11th, this is the robbery at the Home Consignment Center. This is where several folks went into the store. They brandished hammers. They used the hammers to break the cases, and they used the fear of force with which to carry out the theft, which makes it a robbery. And it looks like there was at least, from witness accounts, there was at least 5, and there were 5 black males that went in and committed the crime and then fled the area. Our detectives are still working on that case. On the 14th, a female was seen on video stealing an unlocked vehicle. So this is a vehicle theft on Danville Oak Place. On the 14th, we had a report, and this may even be related to the one on the 15th. On the 15th, we had a report of a theft of a gas card from inside a locked vehicle on Garden Creek Place, and that's kind of right next door to where the car was stolen. And the range, though, is between the 8th and the 15th of the month is when the crime may have occurred based on the witness or the victim seeing their property in the car. And then on the 15th, there was a juvenile fight that ended with one person getting hit over the head with an object. That results in that crime being an aggravated assault. And that happened on Camaritas Way. So not good for crime. And the crime, some of the crime that we're seeing, so the property in the home that was stolen, the robbery certainly is going to be a good example. And then the unlocked vehicle, and then the gas card in the vehicle. When people ask, how can we prevent these crimes? One big role is your police department taking an active role in trying to solve the crimes, right? If we can hold the people accountable and send the message that Danville will go to pretty good lengths, great lengths to solve these crimes, we hope that sends a message to those motivated offenders not to do it here. But what I wanted to do is cover the crime triangle. So I'm going to go over the arrest log. Then I'm going to cover the crime triangle, because that is the basis for all of the advice we ever give when it comes to what can I do to my house? What can I do to my business? How can I secure my property? How can I avoid being a victim? And that would be the basis. All right. So the arrest log, September 9th through the 15th. On the 10th, this was an arrest of a man for an out-of-county warrant on a traffic stop. We arrested another man for an out-of-county warrant. He was jailed. The first one was cited. It was a misdemeanor warrant. And then the two DUI collisions, one was jailed and the other disposition is not releasable. All right, so that's our arrest log for the week. So not bad, but I'd rather not see the DUI collisions. So if you can help us out, let people know that we have cars out on regular intervals, specifically looking for people driving under the influence. Encourage people to get Ubers, Lyfts, a friend drive, walk home, anything. I'm not going to encourage bicycling, because believe it or not, you can actually get a DUI on a bicycle. And the reason that is because if you're out there riding a bicycle, you're moving at a speed, and you're probably not going to have the same perception, and you're going to cause the same types of collisions that result in injuries. So not on a bicycle. So choose some other ride to get home, but don't drive yourself. All right, let's take a quick look at the crime triangle. Here's what I'm gonna do. I put some slides together, and I usually don't put this many slides, but what I wanted this video to be pausable. So if you wanted to look at it real quick, you can get the concepts down, but I'm gonna run through them fairly quickly. So the crime triangle, at its 30,000 feet, there's three things, kind of like a fire. It takes three things for fire. It takes three things for crime. You have to have a motivated offender. This is a person seeking out your property. You have to have a target. This is the stuff that they take from you, or if they're attacking you. So in a case of a robbery or an assault or worse, that's you. And then you have to have a location. And this could be your home. This could be alleyways, pathways. This could be the street. It could be your place of business. So those are the three big pillars that we look at. And we talked about the motivated offender, toughest one to control. Some of the ways we do it is we look at, how can we identify and use some predictive measures to go after those people we know are going to be repeat offenders, right? And so if we're going to try to understand what motivates folks, we need to identify some of the vulnerabilities. We do a lot of data analysis here, and so we do try to predict, although we don't have enough crime, frankly, to do, you see those predictive policing boxes and things like that. And then we need to put up deterrence measures. So we need to put up safeguards that we know, send a message to the motivated offender, hey, I do not want to do it in Danville. Now, some of that is, and this is a huge kudos to our town council from 2014, 15, all the way up through today, because it's a continued initiative that we have, and that's our townwide camera project. As we saw a spike in crime in 2014, we knew that there were more motivated offenders that were being put out on the street through different bills that had passed. And so we said, okay, as an agency, what can we do to deter that motivated offender? What can we do to keep them out? We put those cameras up. If we know someone and we get these be on the lookout flyers from other agencies, if we get that flyer and they say, hey, they've in 2 cities near us, they've been seen breaking into cars using this vehicle. Well, we put the vehicle in our system and it alerts us when they come into town. If there's a stolen car that comes into town, we get an alert on that as well. So there are things we do either from a prevention side or from a solve the case side that we hope has an impact on motivated offenders. Now, the next 2 points we're going to talk about, we being the town, carries some obligation to that. And this is where I'm going to forward give our maintenance team kudos, but we carry some obligation to that, but also so do the rest of us that live in the community. We carry some obligation here. All right, so securing the target. So this is the location. How do you harden a target? How do you protect the actual items? And then how do you create public awareness? Let's kind of go over this real quick. So if you're going to harden a target, one, and I like to use the beautiful house example. We've all been to a variety of different homes throughout our lives. Some you walk into and they're not cared for very well. They may be dirtier than our liking. Some may even have dirt and mud all over the floor inside the house. You're probably not even going to take your shoes off when you go in the house, right? And then you go to someone's house and it may be yours, super clean, very, very clean. When you walk in, the shoes are off and lined up and you see everyone in there. And what it looks like the people that live there really take care of their house. And here's my kudos to our maintenance team. There's not a day that I walk to work or come to work that I don't see someone from our maintenance department, usually several people, taking care of something. It could be fixing brickwork. It could be fixing areas around trees, something to beautify and make Danville look good. And then I also see all of us, the people that live here, really taking care of the community. And what that tells criminals is there are safeguards in place. There are people here that are watching. There's natural surveillance. There's public awareness. There are people that are paying attention. And so that's some of the things globally that we can do. Now, we don't usually have stranger attacks. If we had stranger attacks on public trailways and things like that, we might consider things like increasing lighting, maybe restricting the hours of use, those sort of things, so that we can make sure that we control the location so that there's not an issue there. Let's go into the location a little bit more. So let's look at it. So when we're talking about the location, this is where you get into kind of the engineering part, the environmental design. How do you control access to certain areas, your home, your business, and forming neighborhood watch? Let's talk about access control, because I think that's one of the big ones. If you look, we had a robbery, we had an unlocked car that was stolen, and then we had property taken from a vehicle. So if you're going to control access, that applies to a car, that could apply to Danville, a community, right? If we can control access to would-be criminals, people that are coming into town using vehicles that are stolen, using vehicles that are known crime vehicles, let's control the access. But on a small scale, for your home, are you locking your door? Are you locking your gate? Do you have sufficient lighting out front so that people walking by can see if someone is at your front door, going around your back door through your fence? Are you doing those things? If you're a business, if you're a food business and you don't really carry cash, your risk is probably pretty low, right? People don't usually come in and say, give me all your cheeseburgers. It's not really a thing, right? And if you don't have much cash, what is there really to take? You're not really an elevated target. Well, if you're a business that handles a lot of cash, now your target is elevated. If you're a business that handles what we would say are walkable items, things that you can grab, carry with you, and leave, and they're very expensive. Don't think of your big 80-inch TV because you can only carry one of those. Think of the smaller items, the jewelry, the coins, the collectibles, handbags even, those sort of things. Then we're going to probably jump our access control up. And I'll tell a quick story. There is still a jewelry store in San Ramon. This is several years ago, and I was on duty as a detective. And I was trying to serve a search warrant just for records at the jewelry store. And it's a private jewelry store, appointment only. I just went up there and I thought I would knock on the door. Well, I knocked on the door and I'm just wearing my suit and tie and I've got my clipboard with me. And the next call I got was from my dispatch center saying, hey, are you at such and such business? And I said, yeah, I'm there. The owner's calling. He's wanting to know if someone's trying to rob him or if it's the police. So that was an owner knowing that he's in a position where he's got things that people could take, and he took very, very extensive measures to limit the access and control. He had a very good alarm system. He actually had a very solid door with a nice regular people, didn't rely on cameras, right? And I'm not saying don't have cameras. I'm saying if your camera goes down, how do you see outside? And so he had cameras, people, he had a hardened door, he had an alarm system. And inside his business, he actually had a very good place where he could go and get safe should someone breach his business. So knowing that he was carrying high-end things, he took extensive steps to make sure that both he and his staff were very safe. And I thought that was probably the best example that I'd ever seen. And if you look at some of our downtown businesses, our jewelry stores, they do a great job. Their doors are locked. I don't want to name by name, but I know you could probably guess. You can't walk in there unless they unlock the door. So again, they have elevated risks, so they take elevated measures, right? And I wish this weren't the case. And I know that the person that was ultimately responsible for this is the motivated offender. We're just here to provide safety tips and maybe some understanding. Now, the idea is there's also some interplay between these, right? Like it's not, if you just lock your car door, is that the only answer? No, you can't lock your car door and leave your briefcase with your iPad and all your stuff sitting on the seat, because that creates an elevated target. And so people will go to extensive measures to breach your access control. And so really you want to try to use as many of these techniques as you can. We're working on the motivated offender. We're trying to highlight those. You're also working on the motivated offender by calling out suspicious behavior. When you see someone maybe parked and sitting in your neighborhood, driving around, we believe it or not, we call it profiling. I know profiling gets a bad name, but it's criminal profiling, right? You know your neighborhood better than anyone else. If someone is driving laps around your car or your neighborhood, or maybe they're parked at the entrance in a place where usually nobody parks and it's just one person by themselves, maybe they're on the phone, maybe there's a reasonable explanation for it, but maybe they're up to no good. I think back at the beginning of the year, I was telling you all to look for people in the hills, in the vacant areas behind homes, because that was the profile, the criminal profile that we were seeing for people that were breaking into homes, was they were using lookouts in open space and breaking into the rear areas of the home, like a backslider break sort of thing. So a lot of that is how we're controlling the motivated offenders, but you can't just rely on one, right? So harden your area, put your lights up. If you're a business, think about how your access control plan is, and do that. The one thing is, and this is why we do what we're doing right now, is we want to take a preventative stance. We don't want to just be reactive. I know law enforcement, we can often seem like all we ever do is wait till the crime happens and then we respond out. That's not actually what we do, especially here in Danville. All of you, because of your diligence, you afford me a great opportunity to actually be preventative. And I'd say we probably spend over 50% of our time working on preventative measures, whether that's, the ALPR system, responding to hits on that. It could be through community engagement. It could be something as simple as one of our officers drives by a house, sees the garage door open, and says, "Hey, if I were a thief, this is a great opportunity to steal from you, because it takes me 15 seconds to take something expensive out of your garage and leave." All those things are preventative. And that's where, if we can, we'd rather spend most of our time in the prevention bucket. All right, I'm checking to see if there's any, I don't see any comments. So I must have answered all the questions, right? Maybe, I don't know. All right, so here's a good opportunity. If you want to come visit us, we've got a great opportunity coming up. Thursday, September 26, 2024. So next week, next Thursday, 8 a.m. to 9, drop the kids off at school, come visit us at the Starbucks in the Rose Garden Shopping Center, and that's at 730 Camino Ramon in Danville. And then make sure you follow the links down below and log into our community warning system. Make sure you sign up for that. Check out the PG&E website and then download those 2 guides. Those 2 guides I'm telling you, they will make you far better prepared than most, and they will make you more comfortable. When chaos hits, you will be far more comfortable than someone that has not prepared. All right. With that, we're 10-10, which means we're off duty, but we're always 10-8 in service to all of you. Have a good day, Danville.